Okay, just popping on really quick to talk about something cool that I recently did some light training in, and that is the use of AI to create imagery that comes up in therapy, specifically in my case to EMDR therapy. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Thea. I'm a registered clinical counselor and clinic owner in Coquitlam. Clinic is Kayda Health, and I do a lot of EMDR therapy in a lot of different ways. And so I'm going to show you in a second here. Hopefully I can figure this out, but I'm going to show you here in a second an image that I created, and I'll tell you the story about it and why I think it's so powerful and important. Okay, so I'm going to move my head out of the way in a second here, and you're going to see an image. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this first. So one of the stories that I share with people about how EMDR has been extremely helpful for my own life is the story of when my dog Chili died. She passed away last year, so I guess that's 2025. And I think she was 14 years old, and she was a very good dog. Anyways, her name is Chili because she was a rescue from Taiwan, and when we got her, her name was Cherry, and then she couldn't stop shaking, and so we ended up trying to find a name that sounded a little bit similar to Cherry, but because she couldn't stop shaking, my husband said, well, why don't we call her Chili? So anyways, when she died, I still had clients that I needed to see and life that I needed to live. And so what I did was I used some of the skills that I attribute to EMDR and did what's called making a container. So I created an image in my own mind at that time, an image for myself of sort of a woman, myself, in grief and in sorrow. And she was wearing like a long gray cloak and was kind of kneeling and just sort of like holding herself in her grief. And then I put her into this is what we call containment, is I put her, this part of myself that was very grief struck and just in the sorrow, I put her into a place that I thought would be safe and comfortable for her to stay while I did my work, and then I would take her out and kind of nurture her, but I made sure that she was in this place that was safe and comfortable and kind of beautiful for her. So that's the backstory. And then recently I did this training where what the speaker was talking about the use of AI to sort of bring that kind of imagery to life and how it can be really helpful. So some people have difficulty seeing images in their mind, or kind of like being able to capture or hold on to imagery, like that kind of thing. And so I've been kind of experimenting and playing with that in different ways with my practice lately. But it occurred to me this morning, like, well, I wonder what it would be like for me to try and use AI to recreate that image. So let's make me small now. So this is the image that AI created when I asked it to, in terms of recreate this image that I had made for myself. And I did give it images of Chili to work with so that it knew what Chili looked like. And this image is so perfect. So I ugly cried for like 10 minutes probably when I got this image, and it still like makes me tear up a little bit. And that's not a bad thing. Like that's part of what I think is important to understand here, is that imagery is so powerful. And it's so special, and it's such a beautiful way to kind of like really see, right, imagery, like really see what's kind of going on or happening in the background. So this kind of brought, through the use of AI, it really brought even more into like a clearer vision for me, this image that I was working with. And for me, I think this is sort of, it's a profoundly healing kind of an image, and lets me feel it in an even more real way than I already did. Sorry, I'm like so teary when I think about it, which is again not a bad thing. Anyways, so I'm really enjoying this use of imagery because, like I say, I do find it so powerful. I find it so impactful. And I just noticed, like for me, it just brings up so much emotion that otherwise I might not be able to kind of access in quite the same way. And this is an example of it with the use of, or using this for grief, but there's lots of other images that that can be really, really helpful. So if people describe to me that they feel like a profound sense of loneliness or being unseen or failing, and they describe it like they have a knife through their heart when they've been betrayed or something like that, like these are all things that I can kind of work with AI and with clients to create an image that something like this that really captures that for the person. And it's really helpful. I also find it's really, really helpful for things like, so in EMDR, oftentimes we'll create lots of what we call resources, and this can be things like wise figures or protector figures. And so that's the idea of building a really strong image and connection with something that represents wisdom, something or someone that represents wisdom, or protection, or a combination thereof, or nurturing. Like, you can pretty much choose any adjective and throw it in there. Happiness, you could probably do too. Anyways, so it's just a really nice way. And I know lots of people have different opinions on AI and that sort of thing, but what I would say is, I could not draw this in a million years. Like, I could not create this in a million years on my own. I don't have that kind of artistic skill. I have creativity, but I don't have the, like, as my daughter would say, I have all of the passion and maybe maybe none of the talent or something like that when it comes to art. It's not, anyways, that's an undersell a little bit, but yeah, anyways, I just wanted to share that. I hope that this is something that is kind of, I don't know, make some sense of why that might be helpful. Maybe it's sort of interesting or intriguing to people who are watching here. And yeah, and I think it was just like a really good, healthy way for me to interact with that part of me that still holds on to that loss. So that's all I've got in that. Okay,